Hello, my name is Stacy. Welcome to Reads of an Apple and a remake video. So I was just editing this vlog and somehow my opening clip got corrupted. So future Stacy is coming back to you in the past to redo this. As you can probably tell from the title, I'm doing a vlog on 3 of my most anticipated reads that all ended up coming out on May 24th, 2022. I'll pull them here. So I will tell you in the order that I read them. And I decided to do it by author's last name in alphabetical order. And I'm in front of my light here. So I started out, book 1 will be Dukes Do It Better by Bethany Bennett. This is book 3 in her Misfits of Mayfair series. Book number 2 in this vlog will be Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliette Cross. This is book 4 in her Stay a Spell series. And then the third and final book is How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart by Vivian Lorette. This is book 4 in her Mating Habits of Scoundrel series. These are all very highly anticipated reads for me. The 3, Vivian Lorette and Juliette Cross, have been favorite authors of mine for several years now. And Bethany Bennett is a newer author. Her first book, the first one in the series, was published, her debut novel, in 2020. And I found that in the second book last year in 2021 and love them. And so she is a new favorite author for me. So like I said, these are all very highly anticipated. And I can't remember what all I talked about in my opening clip. I do know that it was 12 minutes long because I wrote that down. But yeah, I don't think I talked anything about the start, except for this is the book I'm picking up first. But yeah, so come along with me on this week-long ride to finish, or to start and finish, all 3 of these releases that came out on May 24th. And hopefully they will all meet my expectations and be really good reads. Alrighty. Alright, back to past Stacy, and she will update you on Dukes Do It Better. Hello, good morning. It is Saturday morning. I've got my coffee in my Hello Lovely mug, buying books like I'm immortal, which, yeah. But I just got done filming my May wrap-up, so I figured I'd do a quick little update here to let you know. I ended up, once I got my editing and admin stuff for the video that went up today, which was my changes are coming announcement video, I ended up eating dinner super late. So then while I was eating dinner, I put on an episode of the Below Decked Sailing Yacht or whatever. Sailing? I don't know, whatever they call it. The one with the sailing yacht. And so I did not get to read as much as I planned to, but once I went to bed, I definitely did start Dukes Do It Better by Bethany Bennett, and I am on page 61, just about to start chapter 5. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what is her name again? Emma. Emma is a single mother. This is about 5 years after the end of West End Earl, and we have found out that she has only really had one tryst since her husband died, and it was with a sea captain named Malachi, who is the sea captain that is now a duke. His older brother has passed away, and his mother has basically finagled and somehow blackmailed possibly the Navy admiral to get him to basically be forced to come home and not be the captain of his ship anymore. So he's trying to find the workaround because he was never trained to be the duke, and he doesn't want to be the duke. He doesn't want to be around his mother because his mother definitely had showed a lot of favoritism to his older brother, and it was always him doing something wrong. But he is in London to deal with that, and Emma has come to London, so they slept together months ago. I think it was in October, and then in the beginning of the book we're in like February-ish, and now we are in like April, May, the beginning of the season, and he's in town trying to figure this out, and he runs into Emma in, I think, Hyde Park, and he's basically now trying to court-ish her, and they're trying to play that, like, they're not trying to be as obvious that there is a connection between them from before. What's funny is they've both been pining for each other and thinking about each other. And that's an interesting turnaround. I was not expecting them to already have this relationship from before. So it's really fun. I'm trying not to have too many I didn't have too many expectations, but I was definitely like had a lot of questions, and I'm enjoying how this is playing out so far. Emma's son is super cute. He's 5 years old. He is just a ball of energy, and it's really funny because there's one scene where she hears him calling for her from a different room, and he's going, "Mama, mama, mama," and she goes, I was over it by the 5th mama, but he didn't get to me till the 10th mama." It's just like, oh my god, I love it. I absolutely love it. I did listen to a interview podcast with Bethany Bennett before this book came out, and she was a single mom for a long time, and so she definitely drew on a lot of her experiences as a single mother, which is definitely making this feel and hit deeper and just not be as, I don't know, it doesn't feel superficial, like it's just like a character trait that she's a single mom. It actually does feel like she is a single mom, and it's not just like a character trait kind of a thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess the other fun thing to kind of mention is before each chapter, I'll kind of show you here, there are little blurbs of journal entries. And so Emma is writing a journal, and some of it is journaling and just kind of daily life things, dealing with her emotions and things like that. And other bits of it are letters to her future husband, future person, whoever he happens to be. And in one of the early chapters, somehow Malachi has ended up with her journal, and he is at sea, and he's reading some of her entries that are like set to her future husband, and he's just like, I can feel the longing, and I wish it was me sitting next to this person. And he pictures her, because he finds this after he sleeps with her, but he doesn't know that she is the one writing these. And so it's like all of this kismet stuff is happening, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm having so much fun, and I'm only 60 pages in, and now the season is about to start, and she doesn't really want to be here for the season, and her Lottie from book 1 and Fee from book 2 are kind of convincing her to stay, and so he does call on her officially. Oh my god. And in that scene, Cal comes walking in in the scene where Cal's like, I know you, and then she basically like deduces and drags out of Cal how they know each other, and Cal's like, aren't you a pirate? He's not a pirate, but he's definitely, because he's not happy with his mother's manipulations, he's not been keeping his beard. He's kind of letting it grow ragged. He's not even trimming it, and his hair is a little longer than style dictates, and he's just over it. He doesn't want to be the Duke, but I'm definitely enjoying the banter between the two, and man, there is tension between them. There's when they're in the sitting room and she drops something and she reaches for it, he sees like a sliver of her ankle, and there's this line where he's just like, why is the sliver of an ankle doing so much to me when I know what she feels like, when I know what her thighs feel like with my hands wrapped around them, kind of a thing. And it's just like, oh, Bethany, the tension, man, the tension. I cannot wait till things start moving. I am definitely enjoying this, and I cannot wait to see how this evolves. We also, it seems like we're going to get a little side romance from a person that Emma, like, was in Emma's school, but a year behind her. But they weren't, like, friends, but she's definitely feeling a fish out of water because in the previous book, she was the diamond of the season before thinking she was in love with some other lord, and he's basically known to be a playboy lord in not a good way, because some of our heroes are playboy lords in good ways, which doesn't make sense, but whatever. But so he is the father of her child, but situations happened in book 2. I don't want to give it all away because it was a crazy revelation when it happened, and it was super fun, and it's super fun if you don't know what's happening. But she is definitely playing it off that it was her deceased husband's child, but he thinks he knows better, and so we kind of do get a run-in with him a little bit. But so she was the diamond of the season, and she doesn't really want to go back to the personality that she had because she has changed so much as a person. She's now become a mother. She's now become a widow, and and I mean, if you know, you know. And I'm enjoying how she is changed as a person, because she was very, like, superficial and kind of like a historical mean girl in the first book. And it was just like, oh my gosh, you're so young, you don't know everything yet. But I'm definitely enjoying how she has changed, how she has grown, and the way that she's thinking of the season moving forward. And she's basically saying in this season to be with her family, and they kind of manipulate her because they're just like, and your son and our son can play together, and they're cousins, and they can spend more time together before you move back out to your little cottage by the coast. And so I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm really loving it so far. But I'm going to stop rambling at you about it because it's really good and I'm really enjoying it. I do have sudden plans later today, which is fine. When you have plans and you want them to be earlier in the day, and then you're kind of forced to have them later in the day when you didn't want them later in the day, it sucks. And I'm kind of grouchy about it. But as my shirt says, I am an introvert. And I just don't want to be with people. And now suddenly this dinner has turned into dinner with people, with strangers. And this is a family dinner. And we're basically getting together because people are in town who live out of state because my grandfather's passing. So it was like, okay, let's see you while you're in town kind of a thing. But now there's going to be strangers there. And I'm like, this is not the dinner to meet strangers for me. So now I'm kind of stressed out about that because I stressed out about the situation anyway. But anyway, if you did not know, my grandfather passed on Memorial Day, which I announced in one of my other videos when I got the phone call, because I was filming when I got the phone call, or I guess I didn't announce it, but so yeah, it's a stressful situation for sure. Especially because we found out that he was sick for months and did not really tell anybody in the family, and there are things going on. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling at you, and I'm going to get to editing my wrap-up, and hopefully I will be able to finish Dukes Do It Better this weekend, but I will definitely update you for how far I get through it tonight. But until then, I'll see you all soon. Hello, it is about 7 o'clock Sunday evening, and it has been a fairly busy weekend. I haven't gotten as much reading done as I've wanted to. Last night I ended up going to my brother's house for a little bit, and then we hung out and we played Marvel Champions, the card game. And then we went down to Longmont to have dinner with my father, my great aunt Judy, or I guess Aunt Judy. I don't know, she's my dad's cousin, but we just call her Aunt Judy. And then my cousin Cody from my grandfather's side or from my aunt's side, and then Aunt Judy's son. So that was fun. It was good to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while from that side of the family. And it was nice to just kind of hang out and touch base. So things are kind of as they are, but sounds like there probably really won't be a service or anything like that, because there's just a lot of different things going on, and it's all messed up. But anyway, so I also, yesterday, I missed the game. I made my brother listen to the last few minutes of the game on the radio on the way home. And the Avalanche won. So they are up 3-0 against Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Championships. Like, seriously? They're up 3-0. That is not what I expected. I expected this to go to maybe 6 or 7 games. I mean, 7 games is common because, I mean, this is a big deal. The next round is the Cup Finals. So, like, this is a big deal. And they're up 3-0. So I'm just like, I cannot wait for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night and Monday is going to be so fun. And I'm guessing Edmonton's going to win one. I mean, they have to win one, right? Right? Or will the Avs sweep the Western Conference Championships? I am just, man, I cannot wait for tomorrow. But it is Sunday, so I got all of my chores done this morning and some editing done and caught up on a bunch of stuff. I was going to try to catch up on reviews, but I was like, I want to read. So, and I have my review for at least tomorrow, and then my blog post for Tuesday and Thursday already set up, so I am good to go. So, anyway, this vlog is not about that. This vlog is about releases that came out on May 24th, 2022, and one of them is Dukes Do It Better by Bethany Bennett. I am now that far in. I am on page, let's see, 177. I'm about to start chapter 14. Oh my gosh, there is so much going on. And I'm just I really enjoy the way that Bethany Bennett writes. It's so enthralling to me and just enchanting. It's so good. I'm really enjoying myself. So we have things that have happened. Emma and Mal have started an affair, but they both are like wanting more, but they haven't talked about it yet. And he showed up to a picnic, and because she's trying to be very open with him and show him her real self, so she invited him to a picnic with her and her son so he can see her as a mother, and that was really sweet. And his son was trying to play with a wooden toy boat, and being a ship's captain, he knew how to help him get the little toy boat to sail properly, and it was just so freaking cute, and I love them together. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then we got some fun conversations with Lottie and Fee, which are the heroines from the first 2 books, and Lottie, who's from book 1, her aunt. And they were all like disparaging this poor statue about him having tiny man parts. It was so funny because this random dude at the museum just walks in and they're all like talking and they all just stare at him, and he's just like, ladies, and then runs away because he doesn't know what he just walked in on. But, and I love the way that they're all just, man, I love good friend groups and family groups, and how supportive they all are for Emma and her son and just want to be together. And so the first book, Lottie and her husband Ethan own a brewery, and they're having like blackmail or some sort of issue, and somebody is basically convincing investors to leave, to stop investing in their brewery. So they are worried about money because things are happening. And now Cal, who's Emma's brother, the Earl, or I guess now he's the Marquess, because I think their father has died at this point. I think he died between the two books. But he is also now being blackmailed. So I have an idea on who it might be, but I'm not sure. I feel like it's the dude that compromised Emma and is the true father of her son. So we'll see what happens. But I keep wanting, they keep talking about, you know, they need an angel investor and they need help figuring out what's going on, and maybe they can try to contact somebody in the government. And he's a sea captain. He's a part of the admiral, the Navy, and he has his good friend, I think Simon is his name in this book, works at the admiral's office. And I'm like, oh my gosh, tell Emma more, or bring Mal in, because they've all met Mal, and Mal can help. I know Mal is going to be the one to kind of help them either solve this, or Mal's going to be able to help, and possibly even Simon. And then Simon is trying to court Emma's like new friend Adelaide, so we have like a little secondary romance going on between them, and that's super cute. And man, I'm just loving this. I'm sad that I'm not further along, but the rest of the night is going to be dedicated to this. We will see if I can finish it. I will definitely get through a lot of it though. Man, I'm enjoying this, and I cannot wait to get to my other two books for this vlog. But okay, I just wanted to do an update since I was just over halfway. I hit the halfway mark and I was like, okay, let's finish the chapter and then do an update. So here's my update. I'm still loving it. I'm still excited to see what's gonna happen. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you all very soon. Bye. Hello, I am back. It is now Tuesday, and it has been a couple days since I filmed the clip, but I kept waiting because I finished Sunday night. I finished Dukes Do It Better by Bethany Bennett. I'm going to give it 5 stars. It was really good. It was a really good wrap-up. It kind of encompassed more of the entire series than I thought it would near the end. And it was a really good, like, wrap-up novel for the series. And I was kind of surprised on who the villain ended up being. And while I thought it was the guy who was really Emma's son's father, he was being manipulated by the real villain, who, as soon as there was one moment where they were like, oh, the money that he's blackmailing is being sent to this account, and they said it, and I was like, oh, I have an idea who it is. And then, like, the next line I read, Mal was like, I know who it is. So I was like, okay, we're all on the same board. So I was like, okay, sweet. So that was super fun. And I don't know, it's like, it was nice because it wasn't like me like, oh, come on, it's obvious who it is, stop being dumb. It was like, oh, I think I know who it is, and immediately they were like, we know who it is. But I really liked it, and I was really, I mean, it had a little bit of the miscommunication thing, but at the same time I kind of understood why, because there was a lot going on, and neither of them were privy to all of the information about the blackmail as well. It was mostly Cal and Fee and Lottie and Ethan dealing with the blackmail, because it hadn't really hit Mal yet. And then when he got that first blackmail note, it was just a note saying like consequences, and he was just like, I don't know what this is. And he just like because he didn't know. Emma knew about it, but he didn't really know. So he wasn't like aware that if he received any random notes, he should be like talking to people about it, kind of a thing. He just was like, I don't know, maybe it was meant to be to go to some other person because some street urchin just handed it to me. So it made sense. The only thing is, I do wish that Emma talked to him before she just left town. But Fee asks her when she says that she's gonna go back to her cottage. She's just like, are you sure you don't want to talk to him and try to figure out why he supposedly is doing these things? And Emma's just like, no, I'm too frazzled. I can't talk to him right now. I just need to take care of what I need to take care of, my son and my house, and then we'll go from there. So it was addressed. Even though I didn't really, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the miscommunication trope, it made sense, and I liked the fact that other characters did address her about it. So I loved it. And I loved the interactions between Cal and Mal. Oh my gosh, so good. So good. And then when Ethan joined in, and then Mal's friend Simon, and it was like those four guys. There's like a grave robbing scene, and I was dying. Oh my god, the banter between the four boys was probably one of my favorite things, and I cannot wait to see what Bethany Bennett writes next. I have no idea what her next series is going to be, but I've been a part of her newsletter for a while now, so I will definitely stay a part of her newsletter. I followed her on all of the different things that you can follow her on that I am a part of, like Goodreads and the Amazon list and all that stuff, so I'm excited to see what happens next. Now, the next book I'm going to pick up, I put it too far away. I threw it on my bed. Okay. Is Always Practice Save Hex. I had marked it as I'm starting reading Sunday night. Did not start it. And then I marked it yesterday. Okay, I'll change it and I'll start it Monday night. Did not start it because of the avalanche, and then they went into overtime, and then I was just so amped up about them winning the Western Conference Championship that I ended up just being like, I can't read, I'm too amped up. And then once I wasn't amped up, I crashed. So today, when I am done filming my little clips, I will be excuse me, I will be picking up Always Practice Safe Hex. Finally, I wanted to get this in the Vivian and Lorette done by Friday, so. But I don't really have much hockey to watch the rest of the week, so I'll have the New York Rangers and Tampa Bay Lightning game on. So I think I'm just going to be focusing on reading this week. So I'm super excited. This is how far I got. I read the prologue. Which is funny because I actually read the prologue before, because I feel like the prologue was in the end of the Walking in a Witchy Wonderland, or the prologue was like pre-released several months ago on Juliette's Patreon. So I knew I read it before, so I was like, I read this. This all sounds familiar. So I'm excited for this. But anyway, I will be starting this tonight, finally, and I cannot wait to really get into Livy and Gareth. But until then, oh, and I'm talking about the Avalanche game. Like, you guys know what's going on, which if you don't, I mentioned it in the vlog clip I filmed earlier. The Avalanche won last night in overtime. They won the Western Conference Championships. They swept the Edmonton Oilers, which means they did not lose a game to them. They won four games and Edmonton won 0. And they are headed to the Stanley Cup. And the earliest the Stanley Cup game will play is next Wednesday. So I have reading time until hockey that I pay attention to will be back. But I'll stop talking about that. And I'm going to finish up my little clips here. And then I'm going to get started on Always Practice Safe Hex. Until then.
Hello, happy Thursday. It is Thursday, June 9th. And I finally picked up Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliette Cross. Let me push my little bookmark up. I am just over halfway through. I am on page 190, chapter 19. Man. Livy and Gareth are steamy. Man. This is probably the highest sexual tension book I've read from Juliette Cross, and it's like from get-go. And they have had some intimate times, but they haven't gotten fully intimate yet. But it's the tension between them is really, really good, and I am really liking it. Let's be honest though, Clara is my favorite sister, and so all of the little hints that we're getting about Clara and Henry are giving me life right now. Man, so good. So good. Ugh. I feel like I should say more. So, Livy and Gareth are both a part of a, like, PR competition. And they've been paired with a third gentleman. And they each had... It sounded like it was raining, but it's not raining. But they each have won, like, this pre-competition thing. So they have been selected to work together to do a PR thing for a cause. It's all nonprofit kind of stuff. And so each of these three people each proposed a cause, and it's between themselves that they're deciding. So Livy, Gareth, and the third gentleman, his name starts with a W. Willard. And so they each proposed, and Willard, I can't remember what his proposal was. Oh, like regulations for vampires and they're like blood donor people. I can't remember what they're called. But I guess it's like they're not highly regulated. So if you get the head of a vampire area, I want to say coven, but I don't think they're covens. But if you get someone who's not a good person or someone who doesn't care as the head of there, then a lot of issues and deaths can occur with the people that offer them blood. And so he's wanting regulations on that. Livy is wanting to kind of help push the narrative that was started in book 3. And that is that, you know, werewolves have kind of been segregated and ostracized in the supernatural community. And, well, yes, their wolves can let loose and they can be more aggressive and things like that. Not all of them are like that. But even more so because Violet's new tattoos is helping them kind of control the baser instincts of the wolf. So that was her proposal. But Gareth's proposal is for orphans of specifically supernatural children, because a lot of the times they get shifted into the normal human foster care system, and that creates a fairly bad situation even worse, because they're, especially when they hit puberty and they need to be taught, depending on what kind of supernatural they are, how to grow into their magic, how to control their magic, whatever it is that their specific supernatural needs to learn. And if they're in a human household, not only are they struggling with being accepted in the normal things that foster kids deal with, it's also on top of keeping a secret of who you are and dealing with your magic and trying to control your magic and not having the steps or the guidance to actually do that. Oh, it broke my heart. And Gareth actually got put in the foster system. And, oh, man, it breaks my heart hearing some of the things that he went through. But we are learning a lot about Grims, and that is super fun. And I want to talk about them, but honestly, just read the books. I'm not going to tell you what Grims are, but I am excited. Man. But Clara, I love Clara, I gotta say. And this isn't Clara's book, but we've gotten quite a bit of Clara in here. And she's my favorite. She's all about auras and emotions and things like that. And on top of the fact that I really connect deeply with her as a character, she is very crafty. And in the previous book, she was always crocheting stuff or knitting stuff. And she has her high tea book club where they read historical romance. And I'm just like, oh, I love Clara and her and Henry, and it's like the ultimate grumpy sunshine. But that's going to be the last book in the series. So I can't talk about Clara anymore. Unless she pops up more. But I just have to say, those parts are even more exciting for me. But Livy and Gareth. So there is not the high CEO, but like 1 or 2 levels below him, and the guy that's kind of overseeing this competition, he is evil, and he is definitely trying to, he's starting to harass Livy and take unwanted pictures and being very creepy and touching her unwanted. So there are triggers for that. And that stuff doesn't particularly bother me unless I feel like it needs to be handled right, and either the woman needs to kind of find her power, and I need the perpetrator to, get their comeuppance in some way. And I feel like with this being supernatural and with it just being Juliette, I know this dude is going to get his comeuppance, because I know Juliette reads mafia romance and we like our revenge. So if you read a mafia romance, you like your revenge on the bad people. So I cannot wait to see what happens. Gareth is so freaking strong. I don't know. I feel like we still haven't even learned all of what his powers actually are. And I'm pretty sure, and he's kind of hinting at it, so I feel like Livy is Gareth's mate. Man, fated mates. I love it. I love it. Oh, I should also mention, Livy is, I don't quite know what her specific designation is, I guess, but she has dated women before, so she's at least bisexual, if not one of the more like demisexual or one of the other ones, but I would say she's at least bisexual. So that's also fun because it is June, it is Pride Month. Although my TBR is so full, I don't know if I'm going to read any Pride specific books, but we will see what happens. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Man, Juliette Cross just writes so well, and I am loving this. I picked this up last night, could not put it down. I will, as long as the same thing happens tonight, I will probably finish this tonight, and I will be back to update you afterwards. But I started listening to yesterday's podcast of Smart Women Read Romance. This week's episode is Run, Posey, Run. And in the beginning of the episode, they talk about how her new release came out. If you didn't know, Juliette Cross is on the Smart Women Read Romance podcast with her niece, Jessin, who's also Jessin Reads Romance on YouTube, which I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably already know that. But in case you didn't, there you go. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I am a Patreon member and all that good stuff. But anyway, she was talking about how there are some revelations made, and they kept it vague, but there were some revelations made at the end of this book, and I'm just like, about what? And then there was talk about Clara and Henry, so there's something big that might come out at the end of the book. So I'm guessing that's probably to do with Grimms, and maybe about what kind of Grimm Henry is, because there are different kinds of Grimms, and they do have different kinds of powers. And I'm just like so excited to be learning all of this along with Livy, because like nobody knows anything about Grimms except other Grimms. Oh, it's so good. And then we also met, who did we meet? Garrett's aunt, Lolly? And I loved her. She's just like I don't care what my brother, Garrett's uncle, what his rules are for Grimm. She's just like, I don't care. I'm going to go live over here. I don't care to be a part of whatever situation you're doing. She's kind of like a hippie version of a Grimm, and I love it, and it's super fun. So I could say more and I could gush more, but honestly, I love it. I absolutely love it. I do have to say, I am someone who was not a big fan of relations where there is people tied up. That is just something I personally am not into. And I know that's like super basic kink-wise, but that's just not something I enjoy myself. So I don't necessarily like it doesn't titillate me, I guess would be the way to say it. But I understand why it's there, and I understand the reasonings behind it and the loss of control and things like that, but I do not have that issue. So, and there have been issues in my past where I'm not a fan of being tied up or being spanked and things like that. So those are two fairly vanilla kinks that I'm not a big fan of, and it seems like Gareth is very much into that. So while it will probably be very steamy and very sweet and very sexy, Juliette Cross writes intimate scenes so well because she hits home with the aftercare and the emotional aspect of those intimate scenes really well as well. And so I know I'll enjoy it. I just probably won't find it as titillating as the like alphaness of alpha, like in Wolf Gone Wild kind of a thing. But I don't know. But anyway, that's like probably way too much information that you needed to know. But anyway, I'm going to, even though it's kind of early, I'm going to take a shower and get all my nighttime stuff done, and then I can just read the rest of the night and then go to sleep. So that is all I have to say so far about Always Practice Safe Hex. I'm guessing this will be a 5-star, just like the rest of the books in the series. It's pretty much already a 5-star for me. And I mean, I'm guessing it'll probably be a 5-star because I doubt something absolutely crazy will happen, but you know, you never know. You never know. But I'm guessing it'll be a 5-star based on where it's at right now. So I will leave you there, and I will be back once I have finished Always Practice Safe Hex. Until then. Hello. It is Friday. Happy Friday. I'm running a little bit behind in what I was hoping to do for this vlog and how quickly I wanted to read these 3 books, but I'm here with an update. Last night, I officially finished Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliette Cross. Like I've said before, this is book 4 in her Stay a Spell series. I'm going to give this 5 stars. It was super fun. It went super crazy and different than how I expected at the end. I wasn't sure. Like, I kind of was getting the feeling like the creepy boss dude was going to be like the 3rd act conflict kind of a thing. But the way that it played out was so cool. And we get to kind of learn more about what kind of grim powers Henry has that Gareth doesn't have. Oh my god. Oh, and I loved it. And I just loved how they were accepting-ish of Mateo in the beginning in the first book, but now it's just like the Savoy sisters have just completely accepted Gareth. No qualms, no questions, no giving sly looks to Livy on the side, just come on, be serious, you like him and admit it. Those kind of looks, but no like, why is she dating a grim man? It's just like, our family of sisters is growing, and I love it. And I should also mention Isadora and Devraj got engaged. Evie and Mateo are pregnant with triplets, which we already knew they were going to have triplets from the anthology that's 3.5, Walking in a Witchy Wonderland. But here, she's pregnant with the triplets, and then near the end of the book, she has the triplets, and then they also got, eloped and got married. I was just like, oh my god, I just love it. I just love it. And apparently Libby and Gareth are going to have daughters, and they are going to adopt some of them, which doesn't surprise me because with Gareth being a child of the foster system, I know it's very common for them to grow up and want to be better foster parents to children than they were able to receive. So it was super sweet, and I can't wait to see their daughters, and apparently all they have is daughters, but because Violet specifically says daughters. But anyway, I just really liked this. I loved Juliette Cross's writing. I loved the mix of like family and found family in this. And for Gareth, the Savoy sisters definitely fully embraced him as a family and embraced him into the family. And he's never really had family, typically. Oh, and I do want to mention, his aunt's name is Lucille, not Lolly. I don't know why I thought it was Lolly, but Lucille. And I do wish that we got to see Livy meeting Lolly, because I think that would have been super fun to see, but that's okay. But yeah, I really liked it. I should say, though, I don't know why I mentioned it before because it's literally where I stopped. But there is an odd scene where Gareth shaves Livy. And for them it is very sexual, and it turns sexual. And I don't think I've ever found the act of shaving sexy before, but it was interesting. It was interesting. Never mind the fact that yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna stop there because there is a shaving scene, and I will leave it at that. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I just loved the trust that they showed in each other. And oh my gosh, when Livy is like okay with him letting his monster loose, and then he's so afraid she's gonna reject him, and she's just like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. I'm a little sore, but I'm not hurt. And he's just like, I'll never let the monster out again, so to speak. And she's like, no, it's okay. I enjoyed the Stevie times with the monster part of you. And he's just like, fine, we'll do it once a year. And she goes, no, maybe more like once a month. I was just like, oh my gosh. I loved it. You can see like the little nods to like current trends or more recent trends in romance, because I know Juliette reads a lot of romance too. I mean, she has to because she's on the podcast Smart Women Read Romance, and so she reads a book a week-ish for the podcast. But it's just like, oh my gosh, all the little nods to like what's happening in like real day Romancelandia is just, it just cracks me up, and I love it. I mean, I'm not surprised. This is one of my most anticipated books. Honestly, all of the books Juliette releasing this year are highly anticipated for me. And I cannot wait. Her first contemporary that she's doing alone, so not with Smarty Pants Romance, should be coming out in July as far as I know, and that's Bright Like Wildflower. And then we should get book 5 in October, and that will be Jules and Ruben's book, and it will be called, it's in the back here, Resting Witch Face. So I'm super duper excited for that. I cannot wait. And I'm excited to see theirs. And then I think I might have showed you before, but I used my Wolfgang Wild bookmark. Man, it's good. It's good. I cannot wait to get my signed copy in the mail. And then I will have all of Saya Spell signed except for the anthology. So if she does another order again, another open order for signed books, I will definitely be getting that and any future books. But we have one book left in this vlog, and that will be Vivian Lorette's How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart. This is going to be book 5. No, book 4. Book 4 in the Mating Habits of Scoundrel series. This is going to be Prue's book. Oh my god, I cannot wait, I cannot wait, I cannot wait. Okay, I have some things to do tonight, but I will be picking this up tonight and hopefully finishing it tomorrow so I can get this vlog edited and set to go up next week. But this is probably my most anticipated book of the three. Man. And this is, yeah, this is probably my most anticipated of the three. So we will see what happens. And I do remember, so going in, I know our little dog here won't be in it much because I remember someone read the arc quite a few months ago, and she was doing like story updates on Instagram when she was reading it, and at one point she was just like, where's the dog? And every time she like posted an update, it would be like, so like there's one dog here, and then it was like this portion is all like she like cropped the dog and then just constantly put it around so that it was like so like the dog was slowly spreading, and it was like her obsession with getting more scenes with the dog. So I know the puppy won't be in here as often as we probably want it with him being on the front cover, but that's okay. I just remember dying laughing because I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, I will be picking this up tonight, and I cannot wait to start it. And if it's like the previous Vivian Lorette books I've read, I will get sucked done very quickly. She's one of my favorite modern historical romance authors, and this will fly by. So I will be back hopefully about halfway through to update you on what's going on. Oh my gosh, I almost updated last night. Okay, that's it about this. Back to this. The boys play Gloomhaven in this. I was dying. Absolutely dying. I own Gloomhaven. I've only played Jaws of the Lion because I do not have the space to set up Gloomhaven, and I know it is a heavy campaign. And I have backed Frosthaven, so Frosthaven should be coming, which is the sequel-ish for Gloomhaven. So I have the prequel, like, learn how to play easier section of Jaws of the Lion, and I have Gloomhaven, and I'm signed up, and I have prepaid and backed on Kickstarter for Frosthaven. And so when they were all playing, like, because the girls kind of assume they're having poker night, and they were playing Gloomhaven, and it was oh my god. Oh, and this is another reason why I love Juliette. She brings out the nerd and the geek references. Oh, and I love it. I love it. I was like, oh my god, they're playing Gloomhaven. And Alpha is like totally into it. Alpha, aka Mateo, was totally into Gloomhaven. Ah, man, it just makes me love. Juliette's my girl. I just gotta say, Juliette's my girl. But anyway, I should show you because I don't think I did it before. Back to How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart. I was looking for a bookmark I haven't used recently that kind of had purpley vibes, and I decided to go with this one. It's more pink than purple, but it's a really pretty traditional Japanese shrine, or temple, I guess, and then it's got some cherry blossoms here. It's hard to tell. If I put it in shadow, it's like a really pretty pale sky blue, and then there's mountains in the background and more cherry blossoms everywhere. But so that's the bookmark I chose for this one. Okay. I'm gonna put this back in. Alrighty. I will start this. And I'm even more excited for this because Prue in the previous books has been away and separated from the other three friends in the friend group. And so we've kind of gotten tidbits of what's going on with Prue in the letters that she's written to the girls, but not 100%. So this will be super fun to see what has actually been going on with Prudence behind the scenes. So I cannot wait. But anyway, I'll stop rambling at you, and I will get my things done so I can start reading tonight. But I will see you all very soon.
Hello, happy Saturday. I figured I would do an update because I was just going to kind of sit down and read the rest of the night. It's about 6 o'clock on Saturday. And I figured I would do an update because I read a lot last night. I was up late, but I could not put it down. So I started How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart by Vivian Lorette. Oh, I am on page 205. Over 50% through. I'm about to start chapter 18, and man, the way that Vivian Lorette just works for my, like, the way that she writes just works for my brain. I get sucked in and cannot put her books down, and this book is, I didn't read any blurbs. I did know that it was going to be Prue's book, and that it would be with a Marquess, the Marquess of Savage, who we met in the previous book because he is friends with Brandon. And he's the hero of the previous book. And so I knew that they were going to be together, but I didn't know how. So we have Prue, and she is officially ruined. She is ruined, but her father is also a little bit more stricter and puritanical. And so he sent her, like, we knew that she was living with her aunt and uncle who were very strict, basically treating her like a servant. And her family has pretty much disowned her, and her father and her stepmother at least. But even when she was a young girl, we kind of get some backstory that she was never, like, her stepmother and her father never really, I don't know, treated her like they did her younger brother, who's her half-brother, because it is her stepmother's child. So I don't know if there was issues between her mother and her father or what happened there. But so it starts out like a couple months before where the book, like the main portion of the book starts. And Leo, who is the Marquess of Savage, he is on his way to Bath to take his latest mistress there and wrap up his contracts. So he is a very scandalous rake, and he is known to constantly having a new mistress. But he does contracts with his mistresses, and it's all above board. He's very honorable about it. They get paid. They are allowed to use his money pretty much however. He lets them fix up his house, and then, like, his inner dialogue is so they don't fix him. But, so, and it's all 4 months, and they all sign a contract, and, like, everybody knows all of the plans going forward. And so when he's going to deliver this, his previous mistress to Bath and kind of end the contract, they run into Prue on her way to London. And she is going to London because she received a letter from her father basically saying that her mother had, I think it was 10 or 12, like, pieces of, like, jewelry and just familial items that are passed down from, like, mother to daughter kind of a thing. So it's like what tiny little inheritance she would have from her mother. And he basically was informing her, he gave her a miniature of her mother, and then informed her that he told his stepmother that she was allowed to dispose of them however she wanted to. So it's this really fun thing where they're like, why are you where the mistress is like, oh good, you're gonna, you know, come back in, you're gonna join the demi-monde, you'll find a way to live. And she's just like, that's not why I'm going to London. And they're like, why are you going to London? And she says, larceny, and walks away. And, oh, I love it. I love it. So and then on the way back to London, Leo runs into her, and she has been like dealing with creepers on the stagecoach, so she decided to walk, and Leo runs into her and offers her a ride, and they talk the entire time. And the way that he, like, this is kind of a she's different than other girls trope, but it doesn't feel like she's really that different. It's just she's different than who Leo surrounds himself with, because he usually has mistresses that, you know the score. They're either like professional mistresses that's just what they do. They go from man to man, and that's how they kind of make their living and stay afloat. Or like widows, or people who tend to kind of end up in that role anyway, and not actually marry within society. So he's used to typical games and them constantly spending money and asking for things and using him for his money. And eventually what happens is Prudence agrees to be his mistress for 4 months, but what she is really looking for is help, because she ends up turning down his original offer, and then she runs into him at a house party with just men, which she didn't realize it was just going to be men there, but he basically saves her from getting caught for trying to steal a miniature of like her great-great-grandmother back. And this dude has it because he collects paintings by a certain artist of whoever did it. So it's not like he has an attachment to the grandmother or anything. So Leo saves her, and then she kind of is she remembers that the plan, and he has not finalized his contract with his new mistress yet. So she decides to do his contract, and it is so good. So this is so unique. Like, I know that there's the mistress trope, but this is like intentionally the mistress trope, but they all know, and it's not like the mistress trope doesn't always bother me anyway, but here it's like weirdly, I don't know, I just love it. It's not what I was expecting at all, although I had tried to have zero expectations, but it's just so different than most books that I've read, and I just really, oh man, the way Vivienne Lorette writes. So so basically her thing is she'll be his mistress for 4 months, and the main thing she wants from him is to help get her mother's inheritance back. And then there's also a deed for a cottage that is not entailed, so it is also part of this inheritance. So they're trying to track down the deed to this little cottage as well, and then she'll basically abandon society and go there. And she did stay with Ellie a little bit and get touch base, with Wynne and Jane and now Meg. But she sees like the Snides and the Tucks under their breath, and the other girls are starting to get like less, like basically her reputation is starting to kind of ruin them a little bit, and they don't care. They don't care at all. But she is very hypersensitive to it. On top of the fact that just growing up, she was always basically told she was not good enough for anything, and she did not do well enough in anything. And man, Prudence, the way her parents treated her broke my heart. And no one has kind of basically told her that she is good enough who she is, except for her friends. So even though her friends are her friends and are pretty much her found family, she still has a lot of deep, like, almost insecurities, but it's more than just insecurities, because she thinks, like, she really thinks that's true, that she's not worth it. But we found out how she's ruined. And so if you have not read The Wrong Marquess, which is the book before this, so that one is Ellie and Brandon. But what it is, The Wrong Marquess comes in is because Ellie's next door neighbor, George, he's another Marquess. I forgot his title, but he's the Marquess of something. Marquess of, it starts with the letter N. Anyway, he and her had been friends since childhood. It was kind of an unspoken agreement that eventually someday he would propose to her and they would get married. She was kind of ish in love with him, or at least what she thought was in love with him for the longest time. And he actually said that he was in love with Prudence. And while he didn't quite force himself, like it wasn't rape, but he definitely pushed sleeping with her. And it happened, we kind of get little tidbits here and there. It happened in a field. They didn't even really get fully undressed. He didn't really prep her. She couldn't sit for a few days. She was left with bruises. So it was not a good experience. And then on top of that, he also told her, like, she was a cold fish and inept and unresponsive and, you know, all the horrible things. And so she really just, I don't know, there's a scene when they're signing the contract, and the way that Leo does it is he has a lot of trust issues, and us as the reader have gotten kind of hints. And so it seems like his previous betrothed, not a mistress, before he did the whole mistress thing, she was either manipulated, hatched the plan, or somehow was involved. And I don't know if, I think they were betrothed. Maybe they were engaged. Maybe they were like the step before engaged. Maybe that's betrothed. I don't know. But they were somehow promised to each other. And he ended up getting poisoned by his wine. And she was a big proponent to him getting poisoned. So we haven't really gotten the whole story, but we've gotten little snippets, oh my goodness, snippets as the reader. And then also there's, like she also, like Prue also picks up, like all of his liquor is locked away. And when they have wine with dinner, the butler decants the wine in front of him, which isn't the norm. So, and like she notices a couple times when they go out somewhere, he'll have a cup of liquor, but he won't actually drink it. So she knows that there's something there, but she doesn't understand why. But so they both have got their hurts. But I am really liking this. And so one thing that he does is he uses his valet to basically get rumors of, you know, people that the mistresses have been with from his valet. And then he also has like a Scotland Yard person or like a real investigator also find out what he can. So going into a contract, there's no secrets. Like, he knows all the secrets. He knows who they've previously been with. Like, there's no possibility they could be pregnant and trying to pass the child off of his. Like, he's very, like, he dots every I, crosses every T kind of a thing. He does not do this with Prue. And people are nervous about it that are around him. But she's literally just had that one experience. And there are times when he thinks it's the game that mistresses play, but it's not, and he's realizing that she really is more innocent than he expected. And so he's really taking his time to woo her, and it's good. They've had a lot of steamy scenes. They have not been fully intimate, but there is steamy scenes, and he is basically, I mean, he gave her her first big O, and he is basically teaching her to, like, find out what it is that she needs pleasurably, and it's, oh, man, it's so good. Hi. Okay, I'll give you a lap. Okay. But anyway, I should stop rambling because I can just talk about this book for days. I am glad that it is living up to the hype I had in my brain to it. Oh, it's just so unexpected. Plus, we get these little tiny heist scenes and man. And Leo, It's so funny. He's like forcing her to go shopping, and she's just like, I don't want to go shopping. I don't need all these dresses. When I leave you in 4 months, I'm not going to need these dresses because I'm going to go live in my cottage out in the country, and I'm not going to go anywhere in society. So it's really interesting that he kind of is realizing he's browbeating her into doing these typical things that mistresses do. She also does not want to wear the jewels that he gifted her, but it was because, first of all, she doesn't like the style. And then she kind of mentions, did you just tell the jeweler to bring a bunch of, like, the most expensive looking jewels and not something that you actually thought would fit me? And so that kind of comes out, and then he feels kind of guilty, but he wants her to wear his jewels because it's like a sign of, like, ownership-ish to basically tell the other guys to stay away. But she doesn't like the jewels he gave her. I don't know. It's just, he's getting very, very possessive about her. And while they're both like fighting it, and she was like, okay, I can't become fond of Leo because it'll hurt when I leave. And now she's like, crap, I'm already fond of him. Now I can't fall in love with him. She's like having her own rules. And Leo is like trying to play off these feelings he hasn't really felt for his other mistresses as a nothing, but he's so possessive of her, and it is just giving me life right now. Man. Okay, I knew I needed to update because I was going to sit down and read, and then I wouldn't have updated you until I finished the book. So I'm going to spend the rest of the night finishing this. I'll probably pick up something else because I'm flying through this, but I wanted to do an update because I hadn't updated yet, and I really wanted to get back to reading. So that's where I'm at, and I will see you. Oh, and then the little dog. So one of the people that she tries to steal one of her pieces back from has a Pekingese, and it like alerts to her being in the room, and then she gets chased out by the housekeeper. So she's just like, oh, you didn't expect the Pekingese. And then that's like her little cuss word. She's like, oh, Pekingese. And so that's where the dog comes in so far. So I'm just like, man, Vivienne Lorette just makes me happy. Just makes me happy. And I'm hoping that this book, the way that it ends, these last 180-ish pages are going to slam it out of the park for me. So, alrighty. I will see you all once I've finished How to Steal Scoundrel's Heart. I'll see you soon. Hello. I'm reading. I am on page 260. I'm about to start chapter 23. Holy crap. So, they finally got fully intimate, and so it seems like, okay, so there's been some kind of clarification. So when she was officially ruined and her father sent her away, it was only when she was caught kissing George, and then him showing up and, I'll explain in a minute, attempting to deflower her, is when she like was fully compromised-ish. So, but she was ruined when she was just caught kissing him in a garden. So for her to be ruined over that much, her father is like very strict, and Leo is very angry when he finds that out, that her father did not try to protect her at all and force this dude to marry her. So that was like, ugh, he's so protective of her. I love it. But they get fully intimate, and her experience with this dude never actually, apparently he either didn't actually enter her or didn't go deep enough, because Leo breaks her hymen. So in old-timey times, technically she's still a virgin. She was still a virgin in old-timey time rules, guys. And she was ruined. Oh my god. But after this happens, Leo like is like, we have an errand to run the next morning. And he got a special license and he went and picked out jewelry himself. And he's like, we need to run an errand the next morning. And he takes her to a church. She kind of hypervents as it starts like hyperventilating. And they get married. Guys, they're married. They're freaking married. And he does like a little thing where the contract is now the same contract, just with the addition of marriage. So after 4 months, if she so chooses, she can take her inheritance and still kind of leave, but they'll stay married, still stay married in name. Ugh. But he is just so, oh my gosh, their wedding night, he's just like, now you're officially mine. And guys, I love the minds talk. Oh, I love it when, oh, I just love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I still have this much left. When the hell is gonna happen? Oh, I hope George gets this comeuppance. Oh, I hope he does. But because she's now the Marchioness, she also can like hang out with her friends again without being as much of a stain on them. Oh, man. Man. This book, guys. Alright, I'm gonna go back to reading, but I just had to update you because holy freaking crap. Happy Sunday. So, it took longer than I expected, but I'm here to wrap up this week's vlog. And it took about a week, but I have finished How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart by Vivienne Lorette. Like I've probably mentioned before, this is book 4 in her Mating Habits of Scoundrels series. Man. Alright, I'm going to give this book 5 stars. Now, I can see why a lot of people would give this, I can see a lot of people who read this give this 4 stars because there was a little bit too much of the misunderstanding going on at the end. But, I mean, I rate Vivienne Lorette highly because I really enjoy her writing style and her books. And this was just so unique to me that I'm going to give it that I'm not going to dock it at all. But there was misunderstandings, and then he kind of white fangs her, and then she decides to leave. Man, and I do wish that they had talked a little bit more, but I also understood why, because the whole contract situation, and then when the contract was renewed, when they got married, I understood why they both thought the other was wanting the contract, and so it made sense. But I can see how it might bother other people. But I love Vivienne Lorette, so and I could not put it down last night, and I finished it. And had I started this like yesterday morning or something and didn't have a bunch of things to do, I probably would have read this in one sitting. So there's also that. And I was crying, which I cry super easily, but I was crying for her, and then I was crying for him, and then I was crying because I was happy. Oh, man. So, I really liked this. Oh, man. And, okay, so, after they got married, we get the weirdness. We kind of see what happened where, so the girl that he was betrothed to, Giselle, got pregnant by who used to be his old friend, Lord Marlowe. And I couldn't quite tell if she was already like with or betrothed or promised or whatever to Leo, but somehow she became pregnant with Lord Marlowe's baby. Then decided to marry or coerce or somehow marry Leo and pass off the child as his. only to then, oh gosh, or no, she got pregnant with his child and she didn't want to be betrothed with him anymore. So she ended up poisoning him to, it was kind of never quite figured out because it was a he said, she said, and Giselle has since passed. She passed in childbirth. But either she wanted to make him sick and make him realize that she poisoned him to break off the engagement. So then, like, he was breaking off the engagement to her, kind of a thing, or something weird. Or she was trying to kill him to get out of the betrothal. I wasn't 100% sure because both options were put out there. And it's kind of like a he said, she said between Giselle, what Giselle told Leo and what Lord Marlowe had told Leo. But anyway, she ended up marrying Lord Marlowe and they died in childbirth. So because that whole situation was weird triangleness, Marlowe has had it out for Lord Leo. And he teams up with the lady that he was going to make his next mistress, even though he was warned by his previous mistress and his, like, father's #1 mistress that he's good friends with, like, not to take this woman as a mistress. And he just is trying to be nice and trying to be honorable, and it kind of keeps her, it allows her to manipulate him more because he wasn't as firm with saying no. Because, like, it was kind of posited that she would be his next mistress. So she, ahead of the contract being signed, got some new dresses and things. And the Medice bill was sent to him. But now it's like months later and she's still sending him the Medice bills. And so he just hasn't cut her off, but he feels bad because he reneged on the contract, even though technically he offered it to Prue first. But I don't know. So it was all, so Lord Marlowe and her team up to convince, they find Leo's half-brother, which is all crazy and revealed kind of at the end of the book, that I don't know, there was a whole bunch of craziness happening. But anyway, so they dress up, they go to a masquerade ball, and his half-brother, who he doesn't know is his half-brother, is dressed in the same costume as Leo. And then he's banging the mistress, the almost mistress, and Marlowe leads Prue in there, so then she sees that, and it's kind of like, he's kind of been insinuating and running into her and planting little seeds of doubt, or like watering the little seeds of doubts that she has. So her seeing that, and of course the lady says savage. The dude doesn't say anything, but he looks similar enough from behind in costume to Leo that she believes it. And then Lord Marlowe rescues her, takes her home, says if she stays the night, even though they don't do anything, but if she stays the night, he had somehow finagled the deed she wanted away from his neighbor. And it was like so much is going on. It sounds confusing, but in the book, reading the book, I was not confused. But I'm trying to like do a quick wrap up. But anyway, so she does not fall for his trick because she knows even if she stays there and even if nothing happens, everyone in the ton and gossip will spread that she spent the night at Lord Marlowe's. So she ends up leaving and going back to Ellie's house. And man, he tries to fix everything, and he gets the deed from Marlowe, and he sees him at dawn and gets the deed, even though no duel has happened, which is something that his father had dealt with. And then he brings her the deed and these things, and they kind of make up. And then he tells her, you know, it's probably better for you, because now he's seeing himself more as his father because of the way that he's been doing things. This kind of opened his eyes about how he actually was treating Prue, and he feels really horrible. And so he decides, you know, you have your contract, or here's your deed. And he kind of ish asks if there's anything more there, and she thinks he doesn't like her because at this point she has told him that she has loved him several times. It was all during heights of intimacy. And she even thinks to herself, maybe he thinks it's not real because we had a discussion about how, you know, everything in the bedchamber is safe. Anything you say during lovemaking is not going to be gospel, even though we see in his mind that when she says these things, he can tell that they're real and not just the effects of the little death, so to speak. And I don't know, it's just so then she just kind of agrees and doesn't push it. So she goes to her cottage, and then she's lonely, and then she decides to go on a tour of the continent with Ellie's aunts, who are like two matron aunt sisters that are hilarious. I love them. They're like, I can't remember what they call them, but they're like recipe thieves. And they like coerce the best recipes from different other houses' kitchens and restaurants and stuff. And it's like their thing is to collect all these crazy recipes. And when we find out in the previous book, it's because they wanted to have the best wedding breakfast possible with all of the best recipes when Ellie got married. But they're still doing it even though she's already married, because that's just, they love doing it and they love food, and they're like, we have highly elevated palates. So if nobody else is going to create this collection, then we will. And so those two and Meg are convince Prue to go on a tour of the continent with them. But as they are leaving from the cottage to head to their place to kind of get things packed up and finalized before they leave, he stops them on the side of the road, and he's collected the rest of her mother's inheritance items. And then she's like, when I said I want everything, I meant everything from you, your love, you as a person. And I was crying. It was so sweet. But even then, that he like got all of this stuff for her to make it up to her. And it was just like, and then I love the first thing he's like, why were you at the cottage? Because he goes to the cottage, and then he's so like freaked out that she's not at the college. Or the cottage. I keep saying college. Cottage. Oh, man. I love it. I love it. And then we get a little bit jump of time, and they are pregnant. And I think it's a 10-month jump. Let me see. It's the epilogue. Yeah, the epilogue is 10 months later, and they've become friends and kind of brought Christopher, who's his half-brother, into the fold, and we find out that the super snobby lady next door was having an affair with Leo's father. So that's where his half-brother came from. But that woman's husband ran away with Prue's stepmother. It was like, holy crap, what is happening? And so like all of these crazy things came out and happened after these scandals started being revealed, instead of blaming everything on like Prue and Leo. And then, the hint and the teaser for the next book. Meg and the aunts are back from their tour of the continent, and Meg is throwing up in the morning, which y'all know what that means. And then her maid says, you haven't had your courses for 2 months. And then Meg says something about how she just wanted one little fling while they were touring the continent before she settles into her spinsterhood. Meg is pregnant. Oh my God. Who is it? And so the name of the book is Never Seduce a Duke. And apparently he's a duke that wears glasses. because it says when a debutante makes passes at a duke who wears glasses, she just might end up with more than she ever bargained for. Never seduce a duke. Meg's story is coming soon, so we don't have a date. Oh my god. And I wonder, I need to go back and see, because there is, during the house party that I mentioned where she gets caught, and it turns out to be an all male house party, there is a duke there that was like out of town or out of the country, or he's like a new duke or something like that. And she runs into him. So I want to go back and see if he has glasses and if that's the duke or if it'll be a duke that we haven't met yet. But and I'm intrigued. Is this the duke that got Meg pregnant? And then them running back into each other? And are they going to run into each other after she has the baby or while she's still in the beginning of her pregnancy? Or is he gonna like find out she has a baby from somebody else? I'm just like, oh my god, so many different ways that this can be going. And I'm not usually a big fan of that trope, but I'm intrigued to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it'll be, I feel like her books usually come out in the first couple months of the year. Or at least the first half of the year usually. So hopefully sometime in the first or second quarter of 2023, we will get book 5, Meg's book. And I cannot wait. But 5 stars. I loved it. So I read my 3 books that released on May 24th. All of them were 5 stars. All of them lived up to my expectations, if not exceeded them. Let's see if I can pop this up a little bit. There. And man, I cannot freaking wait till the next books from all of these authors. These are 3 of my favorite authors now, and I am so freaking excited for what comes next. But if you have read any of these books, or if you read any other books that released on May 24th that you really enjoyed, let me know down below, because I think I kind of like this format of reading all books that came out at the same day. And maybe I'll try to do another one in the future, but maybe pick from 3 different genres or something like that. But we will see. I had a lot of fun reading these, and they were all highly anticipated books, and I'm glad that they all ended up being 5 stars. Man, and my reading mojo is finally back. I am here for it. But anyway, thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you all very, very soon.